This episode of Ruth Ann Talks is coming to you on November 11th. After surgery on October 15th for the alleviation of migraine. The septoplasty was performed, if you've been following these episodes, in Wexford, Pennsylvania, by Dr. Elias Hillel. He doesn't promote these surgeries for the alleviation of migraine. He is an ENT who performs septoplasties to clear the passageways, to straighten the septum and to remove bone spurs that are impinging on patients who are complaining of an inability to breathe freely through both nasal passages. I told him about the theory that this surgery would alleviate migraine, and he was willing to perform it for me. I was really optimistic in the healing phase of the surgery. There was some pain and discomfort, as I recounted to all of you. About 5 or 6 days after the surgery, I had the splints removed, and the day after that was the last day that I took any oxycodone. Was in some discomfort that night, so I contacted the surgeon and he said to take Tylenol. So I began to take extra strength Tylenol for about 2.5, 3 days, I think, 500 milligrams per dose. I don't take Tylenol. I can't remember the last time I ever took a Tylenol. But I took this Tylenol for the remainder of that second week, and on the Friday, where's my calendar? Oh, brother. On the Friday following, which would have been the 25th of October, I woke up that day and wasn't in discomfort and decided not to take any Tylenol. The following Saturday, while driving to Meadville, Pennsylvania, in the afternoon, I started to feel the pain begin in this sinus. And this is the side of my nose where the spur had been. And I was in denial. I thought, no, I'll just keep breathing through my nose. I'll just keep breathing deeply. Everything should be okay. It was raining. I thought maybe it was the air system, the oppressive system overhead. But by the time I got home from Meadville, I could no longer deny that I had a headache, which began here and moved in here and moved up into here. So I took, what did I take? Oh, I took another Tylenol, which didn't remove it. So by that night, I took half an Imitrex, and I was really disappointed. But I did not reveal to you yet that during that week, following the surgery, during that second week, when I was taking Tylenol, I had already begun to test the efficacy of the surgery by consuming all of the, by consuming all of the triggering foods. Dark chocolate, more chocolate, aged cheeses, red grapes that were quite ripe, and I forget what all else. Knowing that my triggers had always been dark chocolate because of the chocolate liqueur and the theobromine in chocolate, overripe fruit, that's tyramine, that's another trigger. Cheeses that are aged are a common trigger, although I've never really correlated cheese in my case. Who knows, maybe. I've also correlated high sodium foods, like if you suddenly consume a frozen entree that's got 750 milligrams of sodium in it, you get a lot of sodium in one meal. That is usually a trigger for me. And yeast, not bread yeast or brewer's yeast, but autolyzed yeast extract, which is just another name for monosodium glutamate. There are 21 aliases in product packaging ingredient listings, which are hidden monosodium glutamate sources. One of them is autolyzed yeast extract. I thought, oh, I'm home free. I can eat all my offending foods. Oh, well, I got the first headache that Saturday, and so then I bought Halloween candy the following Tuesday because that headache did not resolve after the first dose. It came back later the next day, which is common for my migraine patterns. I medicated yet again, this time just with half a tab of Imitrex. Monday, I believe I took one later in the day. Tuesday, I bought Halloween candy. This year, however, on one positive note, instead of buying, 3 bags of Reese cups and other chocolates that I would otherwise consume, I bought a mixed bag, 2 mixed bags of mini candy bars that I knew were not gluten-free so that I would not be tempted to eat them. But I also bought 2 bags of Junior Mints, the boxes of Junior Mints, and I started eating those, and they have dark chocolate in them. And I mouthed those. I was eating those. And in the one mixed bag of Halloween candy were York peppermint patties. I fished out all those and had about 6 of those. So I definitely OD'd on dark chocolate in the couple days prior to Halloween and Halloween night. Headache came back. So off and on, I had a migraine from Saturday the 25th until Friday, November 1st. That's why you haven't heard from me. I was too embarrassed and disappointed and dejected in myself and in the outcome of the surgery. The surgery was wonderfully performed. There was never a bruise anywhere visible. There was never inordinate swelling. The drainage and the pain and the interior of the nose, as predicted, was tolerable. So, I have an appointment on the 14th, the follow-up, the final appointment with the surgeon. He'll remove whatever remains of the stitches, and there are still some in there. But I did more research online, and I found a Dr. Shaw in Colorado. And he consulted with me. He replied to me, sent me several. We were dialoguing in email for the better part of one day. And he said, you had a septoplasty performed. I said, yes. He said, and that was the only procedure you had. I said, yes. And he said, that might not have been enough to resolve your headaches. And according to my research, the nerve bundles need to be addressed as well, not just the septum, not just the bone spur. There are nerve bundles in various areas of the mask, as it is called. The mask is your face, and the maxillofacial sinuses are these: forehead, and in this area of your face there are nerve bundles, and apparently by either removing nerves or neutralizing them in some way, the pain trigger is ameliorated. So I'm going to be discussing that with Dr. Halal. Dr. Shaw, however, advised that I contact my plastic surgeon of record, whom he recommended by name, and do a month of Botox treatments in various points. He asked me to describe where my pain originates and how it travels and how it manifests. And since I had the braces, they've been starting here, moving in here, coming up here, and sometimes going across. Whereas in the past, almost always the headaches would originate over here, sometimes over here, usually food trigger related. These over here I was never able to associate with food triggers. But the ones that would start over here would almost always be food triggers. And in this case, post-surgery, here, here, then over to here. So, I didn't have any headaches then thereafter. Once the chocolate was out of my system, a week to 10 days went by. I didn't eat any offending triggers, and I had no headaches until this past Tuesday, which was the 5th of November. I took 1 naproxen as an experiment, then looked it up and found out that naproxen has the weakest correlation with resolving migraines. But I called my pharmacist and he said he takes naproxen for his headaches. Well, I took this, he said, give it about an hour, and I did. So Tuesday, 1 naproxen resolved the headache, which began here again. This morning I woke up with a global headache. Those are less common. And I usually associate those with caffeine withdrawal or vitamin D supplementation. Sure enough, I had just started a new supplement that included a high dose of vitamin D. Interestingly, I had started to take a magnesium malate during the week that I was eating the chocolate, and those magnesiums didn't prevent the headaches. I thought maybe those would. It's all about the chemistry. It's all about the synergy, the synergistic reaction, the reaction of one chemical with another when your body metabolizes them. But if it's a headache, I'll get it, and I'll get it all over my mask and sometimes globally across the head. I think people who think too much get headaches. People who use their brains excessively. That's my story. I look forward to my follow-up final appointment with Dr. Halal on the 14th, and I might try the Botox treatments. He said, you try them, Shaw said, you try some Botox treatments up in these areas where you have the pain and see if you have headaches thereafter, and if you don't, then you know that those are the areas that need to be treated either surgically or in some other manner to eliminate your headaches. Thank God there are these procedures, at least. Thank God there are surgeons who are working to, remove this chronic lifetime pain. I'm a pain in the neck, my father used to say. Well, I'm a walking pain in the head. So there'll be another update after my appointment on the 14th. Nerve bundles, Botox, isolating the pathway of pain. So cheery. Even the story of Mr. Rogers apparently has a dark side. We await seeing that movie, starring Tom Hanks, who is not a boring conversationalist. Okay then. There's a new show on Showtime, Back to Life. I think it's going to be a hit. Talk to you again soon. Thank you.